What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Heaven 17 and the 1983 album The Luxury Gap. Thank you again to Mr. Solo. Though there's a bit of a discrepancy when I do these deep dives, and just to make sure I know where I am in an album's progression, I'll open up the master release on Discogs. And in some cases it's because, like, at least as the folder shows it, the tracks don't have numbers associated with them, even if they do happen to be in the metadata. But in this case, I opened the Discogs master release for The Luxury Gap, and it shows the next track as Mrs. Ice. Is it Lady Ice? Lady Ice. Lady Ice and Mr. Hex. In the folder, it says Lady Ice and Mr. Fire. So I'm assuming maybe Fire was just a typo, or maybe it's a later version of the tune, it was renamed or something, but it seems like on the original release, at least, this track is called Lady Ice and Mr. Hex. So that's the way I'm going to label it, even though in the folder I'm working from, it shows Mr. Fire instead. Though, admittedly, that does change my perception of the title, meaning Lady Ice, and of course this could be something way more specific and not related to wider usages of phrases like Ice Queen or Ice Princess, where the implication is it's a very emotionally cold and perhaps bitter or harsh woman who is not open or receptive to emotional appeal, or who does not convey feelings of friendship or love, even toward those who strive to receive them. But Mr. Fire would suggest maybe someone who's on the opposite end of the spectrum, a guy who's very passionate, who's a romantic, or who has a lot of energy and vigor. Hex, though, means something very different. A hex, at least in a colloquial usage, is a curse, or something that you place on someone in a metaphysical or supernatural sense to prevent them from behaving in a certain way, from accomplishing some action, or from otherwise doing what they would, all other things being equal. Now, of course, a hex can be seen in a less overtly supernatural life, or light, meaning sometimes you could talk about an athlete who has a hex on him. You know, he just can't score a goal despite having many opportunities. Someone who is cursed in a, let's say, less spiritual way. But yes, so Lady Ice and Mr. Fire reads very differently to me on the surface than Lady Ice and Mr. Hex. So either way, it might just be names, and it might not have anything to do with these common expressions speaking to someone's emotional character or a curse of any kind. Nevertheless, I'll see what I can pick up on a first listen. This is, I believe, from Heaven 17, Lady Ice and Mr. Hex, though, as I said, it is shown here in the folder as Lady Ice and Mr. Fire. Either way, the tune is from the 1983 album, The Luxury Gap. Oof. Dissonant.
Stop, does he know the way out of here? Or will she again interfere? It's happening all over again.
Lady Ice and Mr. Hex, she'll leave you cold, he'll make you flex. They disappear without a trace. Accelerate and take your place. The creeps arrive, he's in your home, like all the dreams you've never known. He's standing by to steal your luck. He spotted you, your panic struck.
Stop.
Oh.
They're standing either side of you. They guide you, but they block your view. The lady ice with medium cool will set you up. She's watching you. She'll trip you out and trap you in. Strain every nerve to make you spin. He'll pick you up and make you strong. Thrust up, boost on, the man is gone.
Stop. Does he know the way out of here? Or will she again interfere? It's happening all over again. Look, they made me a promise today. They know that I can't go away. It's happening all over again. Stop. Does he know the way out of here? Or will she again interfere? It's happening all over again.
A wild and remarkable tune. Sonically, it's very interesting because we have obviously these syncopated, rapidly cycling drums, and more on the cycling in a minute, because it feels like thematically, if it's happening all over again multiple times, then it feels like it might be a cyclical process with these two people and others seemingly implied by the lyrics that I caught. But also these little dancing keyboard / piano lines, some of which feel like consonant and almost a bit jazzy, but then also the intro and one or two other points along the way felt like very deliberately dissonant and discordant, a little uncomfortable. There was a tension string running behind that then began to rise and keep rising before finally reaching a plateau and moving into a different section. Then we had that breakdown part in the middle, which almost felt like a little throwback, a bit doo-wop sounding, which, you know, some of their material already has felt like if you took an earlier funk and soul sound and combined it with a bit of an 80s synth pop feel, this one had a bit of that old meets new in that it felt dynamic and keyboard based, more on that in a second, but as I said, with a bit of a throwback, almost, you know, barbershop quartet or doo-wop singer sort of synthesis. And the keyboard element really came through. It was a subtle element, but when the sonics were really flourishing and the drums were cycling around very rapidly and with a syncopated rhythm, and the keyboard was sort of dancing and, you know, frolicking or jumping about, there was this low end, I think, bass line. It was deep and gurgly, and while it didn't necessarily sound overtly acidic, there was a bit of a synth gurgle to it that made me think of acid type sounds. So it was sort of buried under everything else, but definitely in the middle, like third, or, you know, from about 25% to 50% into the tune, I was really noticing it, even though it was, again, less prominent than other sounds on top of it. And as to the lyrics, it sounds like maybe Lady Ice and Mr. Hex are working in tandem. It does feel like maybe Mr. Hex is someone who causes hexes or difficulties for other people. It's not him who's being hexed, but maybe those who are affected by him. But I wondered if they were maybe working together or in the same direction and other people were those being affected. If Lady Ice is maybe going to intervene again, and if, what was the line? She'll like trap you in, but she'll also, it wasn't kick you out, but there was a line where it was like an out-in dichotomy, but everything sounded like she was interfering or affecting affairs that might not necessarily be primarily about her or her interaction with others. So it seems like she was maybe a bit capricious and involved beyond what she might otherwise be. So I really don't know what's happening in terms of the larger picture in the story, but I thought that maybe Lady Ice and Mr. Hex would be set opposite each other and in conflict with one another, but it maybe felt like there was a different dynamic at play. Either way, I found the whole song a bit eccentric and a bit crazy, not in a bad way, but just, I was constantly like, wow, it's really dissonant at the start, and ooh, now I'm curious about the lyrics because they're not quite what I thought they might be, and oh, suddenly we have this stripped down, almost doo-wop singing kind of section, and then now we're going back into this full cycling drum rhythm again, so just a really crazy tune. Curious to hear what you'll have to say about it. Once again, shout out to Mr. Solo for providing the Heaven 17 material and others who've been commenting on the deep dive. Let me know what you think. I will see you next time. Peace.